episode 10, coping plan. So, what's a coping plan? Well, to make a plan, to make effective progress in anything in our lives, it's helpful to map out a plan to find your way. And that's true whether you're traveling on a trip or you got a big project at work or whatever. And it's just as true with getting through cancer treatment. So we tend to think about three aspects of any plan. First is, what are your goals? Next, what are the barriers that are getting in the way of stopping you from getting to those goals? And third, what are your strengths? So your goals, these are things that you want to get to. And you probably have things you want to achieve either before, during, or after your care and treatment. And we find that it's helpful to kind of write them down. If you put them in writing, then it makes them feel more real. And that's good. Again, we talked about the physical, the mental, and the emotional aspects of ourselves. You can have goals in any particular domain. For example, a physical goal is I want to stay active while going through my treatments. A mental goal is I want to understand my plan, my treatment plan, and how it's going to be implemented. And third, like an emotional goal would be I don't want the worry that I feel to stop me from living my life. What are the barriers? Well, there are always barriers that interfere with us getting to our goals. And how do I know that? Well, because if you didn't have any barriers, you would have achieved the goal already. So if you haven't achieved the goal, there's something that's getting in the way. Maybe it's time, maybe it's paperwork, maybe it's money, maybe it's something else, but that's the barrier. And if we can identify what those barriers are, then we can find ways around them. You have to know what's getting in your way in order to fix it. So a physical barrier might be sometimes the medications I have to take to get rid of my cancer make me feel weak or tired. A mental barrier could be something like, there is just so much stuff to understand, I just don't know if I'm ever going to be able to figure it out or how to approach it. An emotional barrier is, I just don't know what to expect, and that really makes me anxious sometimes. I just don't feel like I have any control. So what are your strengths? Well, the strengths are you already have some. You have strengths already that you bring with you, that you have basically as a part of who you are. And then there's also new strengths that you can learn. Like if you remember that relaxation episode you did earlier, well, that's a new strength. If you haven't had that before, you can now do that anywhere, anytime. So like a physical strength, for example, is I know if I walk a little bit every day with my friends, I will not lose too much of my function or my strength. That's a physical strength I have. A mental strength is, you know what, I'm really good at organizing things and I'm really good at staying on top of details if I know what the details are. So I'm going to come up with a system to keep track of all my appointments. And then an emotional strength is something like, you know what, I have a strong faith and I have a really good work ethic and I have family and friends who love me. That's a strength that I have. It's always gotten me through in the past. It's going to get me through now as well. So how do you make a plan? Well, we want to use your strengths to overcome your barriers so you can achieve your goals. That's right. It's all about you getting a plan. So here's just a little template, right? Just what are the goals? What are the barriers? What are the strengths? What's my plan? We can get you this in a hard copy too, or you can just print it off this screen. But here's an example. So one of my goals is to control or eliminate my cancer. Like, that's an obvious goal because that's why I'm here at the Cancer Center. But there are barriers. Like, I have to go through 6 months of chemo. That amount of time, I can't change that. I can't ask to get double the chemo in half the time or whatever. So one of the barriers to getting through to eliminating my cancer is I have to spend the time to go through treatment. But what are my strengths? Well, I've got a strong family. I've got a great medical team. I've got my own faith and my work ethic. So you know what? My plan is I'm going to come to every treatment every day without fail, and that's how I'm going to get through this. I have another goal. I want to see my kids or my grandkids. Pretend you have them if you don't. And then you can also pretend that maybe your kids or your grandkids or your family live out of state, like San Diego. And But one of my strengths is I have some pretty tech-savvy kids, and they offered to get me a faster computer. So you know what? One of my plans is I'm going to Skype with my San Diego family every Sunday, and that's going to help me feel connected with them. So I don't feel like I'm out of touch, and they know what's going on for me so they can support me. One of my other goals, a physical goal, is not to get too weak or debilitated. And they did tell me, the nurses told me when they did my chemo cheats, that my treatments may make me feel like I'm wiped out sometimes. But one of my strengths is that the people at the cancer center told me how I can get help to get strong and stay strong. So I'm going to accept one of those strength and motion consults, and I'm going to figure out what I can do to help myself get strong and stay strong. Another goal is I don't want to look like I'm sick, like I'm a cancer patient. And they told me that the chemotherapy may make me lose my hair. And that's a barrier to me looking not my normal self. Well, one of the strengths is when I come here to the Vernon Cancer Center, there's a program to help me manage how I'm looking. That's called Look Good and Feel Better. And if I go do that consult, they're going to teach me how to use wigs or manage my makeup or manage how I shave or whatever the issue is. That's going to help me look good, and it's going to help me feel better. And finally, another goal might be I don't want my friends or my family to treat me any differently. I want them to treat me like I'm just my same old self. And then there are people who all want to tell me about what to do, or sometimes people tell me war stories. And that's not helpful to me. And one of my strengths is that I've gone through all these episodes in this coping plan in the What's Next class, and I've learned there are coping strategies and there are skills that I can learn to manage this better. And I'm going to learn, my plan is, I'm going to learn how to tell people what I do and what I don't need, and I'm going to hold them to it. That's how I'm going to do it. So that's the plan. Everybody's plan is different. Everybody's plan is unique to them. Remember that a lot of your strengths are already inside you. You don't need to fix anything that's not already broken. But you also have strengths not only inside of you, but within your family and your friends and your coworkers. And now you also have strengths in your relationship here with the staff at the Cancer Center. Together, your family, your friends, us here at the Cancer Center, and you, we're going to make it happen.